Hello and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the first grade concept of time, specifically how we can tell time to the nearest hour and half hour using digital and analog clocks, and we'll do it in 5 minutes or less. So you might have heard these words before, analog and digital. So analog is a really fancy word that means something that does not require electronic display, or something that uses gears. So another way to think of analog would be it's an old-fashioned clock. So when you see a clock like this with the numbers in the circle and the little hands moving around, those are analog clocks. Some of you might have an alarm clock, or even you might have the time that's on your phone. You might have the time displayed on a Blu-ray player or on a computer screen. Those are all digital because they're using a display. So let's see if we can tell time to the nearest hour first. So when we're looking at the nearest hour, we're going to look at two different times, two different hands. So our shorter hand is going to be our hour hand. I'm going to put an H right there. And the hour hand is going to point to the time, the hour specifically, when the minute hand, the longer hand, is pointing up at the 12. Because when you're at the 12, that's the o'clock. That means it's the top of the hour. So since the hour hand is pointing at the 5, our time is going to be 5 o'clock, or 5 with 2 dots, that's called a colon, and 0, 0. That's what the digital time looks like. It just uses numbers and it's on a display. So if we were to do something like this, so let's say we want to make 9 o'clock, well, we make sure our hour hand, the short hand, is pointing at the 9, and the minute hand is pointing at the 12. That's the o'clock. That's the top of the hour, so this would be 9 o'clock. Now, another time that you're going to learn in first grade is at the 30. So what happens when your minute hand is pointing at the 6? That's at the 30. So if I wanted to make 9:30, when the minute hand is at the 6, your hour hand is not exactly at the 9. It's actually halfway between the 9 and the 10. And the reason we do this is because it's halfway around the clock. If this is your top right up here, then this is your bottom, so it's halfway around. Each of these big numbers are sets of 5. So if we skip count by 5s, we'll have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and it goes all the way up to 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and then it goes to 60, but then it's back up the top, so that's 0, that's the o'clock, because there's 5 little marks inside of each of these chunks. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to call this 9:30, or it's half past the hour. We'll put a 9, we're going to put our 2 little dots, and we're going to write a 30 rather than a 0, 0. So 9:30 means it's half past 9. This hour hand is halfway between the 9 and the 10. Let's look at a few more examples. Let's say I wanted to show 1:30. Well, on a digital clock, that'd be easy. It'd be 1, my colon, and then a 3 and a 0, because this is my hour, and this is my minutes. If I want to do that on an analog clock, my long hand, my minute hand, is going to be pointing at the 6, because remember that's 6 groups of 5. But then my 1 is going to be between the 1 and the 2. Remember when the minute hand is halfway around, you put your hour hand, the short hand, between the 1 and the 2. You don't put it right on the 1. If you wanted to make it 1 o'clock, that's when you would put your hour hand right on the 1. So 1 o'clock, remember our minute hand or long hand is up at the very top, the o'clock. And then we've got our hour hand, shorter hand, and that's going to point right at the hour. So let's do one last one. Let's do 12:30. This is going to be kind of tricky. So let's go ahead. We got our hour, we've got our minute. Go ahead and put our minute hand down here. Remember, the hour hand is not going to point at the 12. It's going to point a little bit past the 12. So it's going to be between the 12 and the 1. And that's how we can show 12:30.